U.S. President Donald Trump is intensifying his stance against the BRICS coalition of rapidly developing economies, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. He has issued a warning that their efforts to weaken the dominance of the US dollar pose a threat to America's economic leadership. So in this video, we will explore if BRICS really poses a threat to the US and other Western countries. Recently, during the annual summit held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the leaders of BRICS gathered, and Trump pledged to impose an additional 10% tariff on any nation that supports the group's anti-American initiatives, thereby increasing pressure on top of existing and proposed trade tariffs. The Trump administration's 90-day pause on higher tariffs expired, and letters have been sent to inform dozens of countries of their new U.S. import levy, according to the White House. Although his latest warning is significantly lower than the 100% tariffs he had threatened in January against countries that diminish their reliance on the dollar, Trump remains resolute in his commitment to protect the world's primary reserve currency. Over the last decade, the BRICS coalition has expanded from 4 to 10 member nations. Additionally, BRICS has 9 partner countries, with many others expressing interest in joining the bloc. BRICS is perceived as an alternative to the G7 group led by China. BRICS accounts for a quarter of the global economy and nearly half of the world's population. Alicia Garcia Herrero, a senior fellow at the Brussels-based think tank Bruegel, said, "Trump has a reason to worry. The BRICS is very clearly anti-Western. Part of its mantra is to change the global order. Is BRICS set up to counter the US, as some experts and Trump think?" The economic coalition comprising founding members Brazil, Russia, India, and China was established in 2009 following the U.S. financial crisis, which tarnished America's financial standing and instilled new confidence in emerging markets regarding their role in the global economy. The group welcomed South Africa in 2010. Currently, BRICS includes close allies of the U.S., such as India and the UAE, as well as nations that view the U.S. as an adversary, like Iran, and countries with differing perspectives, such as India and China. This diversity complicates the pursuit of consensus on various issues. Nevertheless, BRICS nations share a common belief that the global power dynamics are excessively tilted in favor of the U.S. and its European partners, marginalizing emerging economies, and that reform is necessary. In pursuit of this goal, BRICS established its own development bank in 2015 and supports Brazil and India's ambitions for a more significant role in the UN Security Council. Members of the coalition have refuted claims that BRICS is anti-Western. However, as Russia and China have encountered increasing tensions with the West over the past decade, particularly due to China's rising assertiveness on the world stage and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, analysts suggest that both nations have sought to transform the group into a more effective instrument for countering U.S. influence. But not everyone is on board. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi warned other members at a BRICS summit last year and said, "Be careful to ensure that this organization does not acquire the image of one that is trying to replace global institutions." In the latest BRICS summit, Trump's global tariff war has been a rallying point for BRICS. During their summit in Rio, the leaders released a joint declaration voicing serious concerns about the rise of unilateral tariff and non-tariff measures, an apparent jibe at the Trump administration's trade policy. Why is BRICS not providing any alternative to the dollar, but still pushing for de-dollarization? Indeed, BRICS does not have any common currency yet. However, the group is actively working to have a common currency as soon as possible. It's not easy to have a common currency between so many different countries, like in BRICS. But it's not impossible, and that's why they are working towards a common currency or a digital blockchain currency. Stung by Western sanctions and tariffs, BRICS is spearheading the de-dollarization move, settling energy deals in local currencies. BRICS has recently intensified efforts to reduce reliance on the dollar by promoting trade in local currencies among members. There are conflicting views within the BRICS bloc for a common currency. Grander ambitions, like a gold-backed common currency, dubbed the unit, have so far stalled amid internal rifts between powerful BRICS members. For example, India, wary of the dominance of China's yuan, has rejected the plan, while Brazil also wants to prioritize local currency trade over a BRICS currency. Garcia Herrero said, "India, together with Brazil, is trying to balance the anti-Western messaging from BRICS, which China and Russia dominate. As BRICS countries are interested in expanding trade in their national currencies, rather than relying on the US dollar, an aim that, if successful, could reduce the dollar dependence of a significant chunk of the global economy." By some estimates, BRICS members account for more than a third of global GDP based on purchasing power parity. In a joint declaration released during the latest BRICS summit, the group of BRICS leaders endorsed ongoing discussions on a cross-border payments initiative among member countries. Analysts say that such a system, if developed, could potentially become an alternative to the SWIFT interbank network, using BRICS countries' currencies or their digital equivalents. Bypassing SWIFT and a dollar-denominated trade system has obvious benefits for certain BRICS countries, such as Russia and Iran, as it could allow them to circumvent heavy Western sanctions. But other countries also see a benefit in not relying on the US dollar for trade. Brazil's President Lula da Silva, in the BRICS meeting, reiterated his view that global trade needs alternatives to the US dollar, but added that this would be a gradual and careful process. But why is BRICS growing faster than any other international bloc in the world? Why are countries interested in joining BRICS and not other groups? And whether Trump's threats are affecting BRICS progress? With Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, and Indonesia recently joining and nearly new partner or affiliate nations like Algeria and Malaysia in tow, BRICS is clearly on a rapid growth path. Many countries are drawn to the bloc for pragmatic reasons, seeking a multipolar world order less dominated by the West. They believe BRICS will amplify the voice of the global South on the world stage. Those fearful of Western sanctions, like Iran and Russia, are counting on BRICS to help shield their economies through BRICS Pay and BRICS Bridge, planned alternatives to the Western payment messaging system, SWIFT. Others, including Ethiopia and Egypt, seek development financing free of the political strings often tied to Western aid. However, Trump's latest threat could make some poorer countries think twice before joining BRICS. What did the BRICS leaders say about Trump's tariff threats and other global matters? Despite their many differences, BRICS leaders did take a firm stance on Trump's tariffs during the Brazil summit. In a declaration published, the leaders criticized unilateral sanctions and protectionist tariffs, without naming Trump directly. The bloc warned that such measures skew global trade and violate WTO rules. Expanding from a mostly economic forum, the leaders emphasized cooperation on artificial intelligence governance, climate change, and global health, while also denouncing global conflicts. BRICS leaders said last month's attacks on Iran were a violation of international law, without mentioning the US or Israel. They also reaffirmed support for Palestinian statehood and denounced the use of starvation as a weapon in Gaza. The declaration avoided criticizing Russia directly, reflecting a cautious approach due to Russia's membership, but it did call for a sustainable, peaceful settlement. The BRICS leaders also reaffirmed their commitment to multilateralism, international law, and reforms to the United Nations Security Council, including permanent seats for Brazil, India, and an African nation. Recently, Trump stated that BRICS is fading rapidly, yet BRICS represents approximately 40% of global GDP and 45% of the world's population. What do you think about the BRICS? Thank you for tuning in, and I encourage you to subscribe to our channel for fresh content on crucial global matters. Additionally, please like the video and share your insights on the topic in the comments section below. Have a nice day.